I'm 40 years old. I make good money. I pay my bills on time. My credit score looks pretty good. And from the outside in, everything looks great. But earlier this year, I looked up and realized I'm not where I want to be financially. I have credit card debt again. My savings got depleted. My retirement is not what I want it to be, nor what it needs to be. And my student loans, I don't even want to talk about that. For years, I've been living like an ostrich with its head in the ground. I wasn't broke, but I was avoiding the numbers because I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and confused. And honestly, that's the hardest part to admit. I kept thinking I make too much money to be stressed out about money. But making good money doesn't automatically mean that you are good with money. And having a great credit score does not mean you're financially free. So this video is not a perfect budgeting routine or a lecture on just stop spending, but these are honest money lessons that I've learned to stop avoiding my finances and actually to start making some progress. So I'm going to be telling the truth about where I am and finally learn to handle my money because I'm done asking where did it go without taking a look. So the first money lesson that I want to jump into is comparing my financial journey to others. There was this one instance where I had built my house with a particular builder, and the house next door to mine was the exact same model. And we moved in, and we literally had a U-Haul that could fit a one-bedroom apartment stuff in it. So furniture, clothes, all that literally was just in like one of those small U-Hauls. The same day that we moved in, our neighbor with the very similar model house moved in, and she moved in with 3 semi-trucks. The first semi-truck had her stuff that she was moving from her house. The second semi-truck was delivering some new furniture, and then the third semi-truck was delivering the appliances. And I sat there and looked with my mouth open like, I don't have nothing. And I felt so bad about myself and felt like I should have what she has, not even realizing what she did to get there. It wasn't until years later that I learned that she had went through a really bad divorce and she made up her mind years before that she was going to buy her next house and move in with everything brand new. And I remember distinctly her telling me, girl, don't try to do what I'm doing. Take your time. And that's exactly what I did. But that was the first time I really felt like I was comparing myself when it comes to finances because I was looking at her and seeing I should have that, but in reality, I shouldn't. So I no longer base my journey based on what other people have. It is based on my real numbers, my goals, and my life and what I want. So the second thing is knowing your numbers. I used to refuse to look at my numbers, and it was because I was so embarrassed and so ashamed. I finally realized after listening to Ramit Sethi that I don't know my numbers. When we talk about knowing your numbers, there are some key things to know. So one, how much debt do you have? Next, how much do you have in savings? After that, look and see how much you have invested. Next is what assets do you own? House, car, boat, what assets do you have? And what is your expected payoff date for the debts that you have? This was a big one for me because I didn't know. I just paid my bills. And knowing when the debt payoff makes it so much more satisfying because at least I know on this day, at this time, I'll have all my debt paid for and I'll no longer have this bill anymore. Or I know I don't want to wait 10 years to have this paid off. So I'm going to move things a little bit faster so that we can move that debt payoff date. Next, you need to know how much you need in emergency savings. This is a big one because I spent a lot of time looking at other people, again, comparing myself to others, seeing that, oh, they have $60,000 in their emergency savings. This one has 20, this one has 100, and not knowing what I actually need. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you have it so that you are not stressed out and going into debt when an emergency comes up. So your emergency savings is based off of what you actually need. And I finally learned that no. Next, you want to know how you want to live in retirement and then how much you need to retire comfortably. I think I listened to a lot of people talk about, I think the magic number was like $1.2 million, and then you can retire. But I learned that there's an actual formula to help with determining how much you actually need for retirement for the life that you want to live. So those are the numbers to know, and those are the numbers that I have been learning so that I can be more on top of my finances. And then lastly, I think it's really important to know what you're going to do with any unexpected money before it shows up. Because I know I have gotten, like, for instance, a bonus or a gift of some money, and immediately money comes in and you just want to go and spend it. But if you know that when money comes in, you're going to either save a certain percentage, invest a certain percentage, and then have fun with it, then you'll treat that money a lot better. And then you won't do the whole, where did it go? Right now, because of my goals, I said 70% to debt and 30% to savings. So any unexpected money, I know that is what is going to happen. So it's based off a percentage, not necessarily a dollar amount. So the next thing is keeping accounts separate. I remember my husband was kind of complaining that he was collecting money from his family for something, and that money was mixing with his money that he was using to pay some things, and he was starting to get confused. And because he's typically the one that is like the one that collects all the things, it was something that was happening frequently. And I just remember telling him, like, just open another checking account. And he was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, it literally takes like 5 minutes or less. Like, you can go, because we bank with Navy Federal. I was like, you can go on Navy Federal, open another checking account. And the reason why that popped into my head is because I was dealing with the same thing. My money was getting mixed all together, and I knew I had budgeted a certain amount for groceries, but when I would go to get groceries, there's not that money there because I had too much fun on Amazon. So keeping money separate helps to keep things from meshing together and then having confusion about where money is. It's kind of like, I like to think of it like the envelope system, but because I've noticed a lot of businesses are not accepting cash anymore. Yeah, that hurt my feelings when they told me they're not accepting the cash, because I used to keep cash a lot. So the way that I have been able to navigate around this is to have different accounts for different things. So have one account that is for paying bills. I don't take that debit card with me. That debit card stays locked away. So that account pays all the bills. I have another account for fun. Call it my fun account. So that's what I'm using to take the kids to get ice cream. When we go to Kids Empire, when I just want to like treat myself to some new nail polish or whatever, I'm using the fun account. The next account that I have is of course, savings account. So I have one emergency savings account and I have another savings account. This is a sinking fund that I use to save for Christmas, and in particular, just December period, because there's lots of birthdays and events and traveling and things that are going on. So instead of being stressed out, I have an account that I'm saving for and putting money away so that when that time comes, I'm not dipping into my other money or using my credit cards. Then I also have another checking account that is just for like um, transferring money in to get to my brokerage account. So I use that one. And then also another savings for big dreams. So like buying another car that's going to be coming up here soon. So just slowly putting some things away. I know it might get confusing having all those things, but for me, it makes sense. And I know which account is for what. So everything is separated. I'm not spending my fun money on groceries because I have an account that I use just for groceries. So again, keeping everything separate avoids things getting all confused and mixed together and makes it a lot easier to track things. So you know exactly how much you have left for groceries. You know exactly how much you have in your savings for your trip to Hawaii. So you know how much more you need, that kind of thing. The next thing is to make it automatic. This is a big lesson that I learned from the Automatic Millionaire. Automation removes the need for willpower. I don't have to think because things just happen automatically. I'm sure you get paid and it goes directly into your checking account, but having things set up automatically so money moves into your emergency account without you having to touch anything, money moves into your dream account being like saving for a boat, a house, a wedding, a vacation, then automatically having your credit cards be paid and having a way for your bills to be paid automatically. And then lastly, this one I'm not that good at. I need to set this up. Is having money go to charity automatically. Well, no, I take that back. I do because I have an automatic payment to Food for the Hungry that goes every month. But there's one other ministry that I support, and that one isn't automatic. I do that one manually. I actually like doing that one. But, anyways, having your money go automatically to these different places, like I said, takes away all the willpower that you need to save and invest because things are automatically moving where they need to go. It does take some time to set these things up at first, but once it's set up, you don't have to do anything else. And this has saved me so much because now, like I said, I know that I have money in my savings account because it automatically goes there. Next up is removing temptation. So I had a love affair with Amazon and I had to break up with Amazon just temporarily because I was spending so much money on Amazon. And I know I'm not the only one, but I told myself, like, you have to stop. So I just deleted the app. Yeah, I could still go on the browser, but that created friction for me. Like getting on the browser is like, it's not like on the app. Then I would tell myself I couldn't use the browser on my phone. I'd have to go on my laptop or my computer to go on Amazon. And yeah, I stopped spending on Amazon once I did that. Like literally just one woman I heard, she gives herself a specific day of the month. So let's just say on the 15th of every month, that is her day to order on Amazon. So one day. So all throughout the month, she's like putting things in her cart that she wants. And typically by the time that she gets ready to go and check out, she's like removing all that stuff out of her cart anyways, because she doesn't want to place an order for $300 because that's a lot. Versus just like doing a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. And then next thing you know, you spent $1,000 on Amazon. So she limits it to one day. And I think that's beautiful and something that I will try. You don't need more discipline. You just need fewer ways to spend less money. And you don't have to delete the app, but create some friction. So next up is just start. I implemented this strategy when it came to investing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just picking stuff because it sounded cute. And it's funny because I was holding myself back because I didn't know, but I learned a lot once I got started and things actually came together and I got a lot more clarity once I got started. So if you haven't started investing, if you hadn't started savings, if you hadn't started trying to figure out, how you're going to pay down your debt, just start. And I promise you, the clarity will come after you take the action. Next up is don't assume and definitely verify. I used to assume that I made too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA. It was wrong. And I'm mad because I listened to someone who was like, yeah, you make too much money for a Roth IRA. And it was only a couple of years where, yes, that was true. I did make more than the limit for a Roth, but it was several years where I did not, so I could have. But had I just gone and like looked up on Google what is the income limit for a Roth IRA, I would have figured that out. So if someone tells you something, be like, yeah, that's good, and go verify it. Never assume what they're telling you is correct. So the big lesson is don't assume that the information that you're getting is correct. Always verify. So number 8 is reviewing your bills regularly. This one is a big one for me because I remember I was really upset because I've heard people say over and over, make sure that you go and shop for new car insurance every year or two or whatever, just to make sure you're not overpaying in your car insurance. I was with a particular insurance company who I will not name. They were great. However, my rate was slowly going up each year. And again, I was in the mindset, if I get a bill, I just pay it. I don't really think too much about it. I just pay bills, which is not good. Not good. So anyways, I finally took the person's advice. I think I heard it on like YouTube shorts. Someone was talking about it. And I was like, you know what? It's been a long time since I've done that. Let me go do it. Finally went and got a quote for auto insurance. Same exact coverage. Same exact coverage. And I was paying $2,000 more versus this other quote that I got. And I was so upset. But lesson learned. Definitely check your bills. And I recently signed up for Rocket Money, and I get alerts now when some of my subscriptions have increased. So for instance, I believe it was Terminex. I got an alert that was like, your Terminex um, subscription is higher this month. And it's good because it makes me wake up and like gets me out of being on autopilot and look and see what is going on and why are these bills increasing so that I can catch them before it drains all my money. The next one is be mindful and avoid waste. So this is because I heard a really great YouTube video that was talking about biblical principles when it comes to money. And I don't even think I finished listening to the video because the first point like just blew me away. So the first point was using the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. And I have heard that story a gazillion, million, trillion times. And I thought I knew the story as I was listening to the video. I'm like, yeah, feed the 5,000. Yep, he did. He asked, what do you have? 5 loaves, 2 fishes. He told everybody to sit down. He took the bread. He looked up. He thanked for it and broke the bread, gave it to the disciples. Disciples distributed it. Everybody ate. They were satisfied. The end. No, it's not the end. If you read on, it says they picked up baskets full of leftovers. And the guy who did the video said, Jesus cares about the leftovers. And when he said that, I was like, you're 100% right. And that just like made me think about how much food I throw away, how much time I waste on like silly things, how much money I am wasting, like my auto insurance because I wasn't paying attention. So this is a really good reminder because, yeah, Jesus cared about the leftovers. And I'm going to leave it at that. And then lastly, check in and gamify the process. So, like I said earlier in the video, I depleted my savings pretty much and had accumulated some credit card debt, which I'm still feeling kind of ashamed about. But I'm facing the facts. So I started to save even more than what I normally do when I started making a game out of it. Every time I check my savings account, I would see the balance and see it slowly going up. And I would think like, okay, how can I add more? So just making it fun just made me save even more. So finding a way to gamify the process makes it more fun. And another thing that I did is I challenged myself to a no spend month. And I know it sounds crazy, but literally like the only thing I spent was on groceries. That was the only thing that I could buy because everything else, like my bills were automatically coming out of my fixed bills account. But as far as me like swiping my card for something, it was only on groceries. That was the only thing that I could buy for the month of February. And the way that I got myself motivated is I printed out one of those little trackers and I was marking it off every day. Every day I was marking it off. And it helped me to stay engaged. It helped me to stay motivated. And I was super proud of myself seeing all of those crosses on the tracker. So again, gamifying it can make something that normally seems really challenging actually kind of fun and make it so that you save more, invest more, and encourages you to keep going. So those are the 10 financial money lessons that I have learned. Um, and I am on this journey. I'm on this journey to completely eliminate all my debt and be financially free. That is my ultimate goal. This year in 2026, my goal is to pay off the remaining balance on that credit card and get my emergency savings. I have three levels. So, one, my base level is, t- I picked this one. So, I have my base level savings that I'm like, you just have to get there. Then I have 3 months of savings and then 6 months. So, right now, I am almost at my first level savings goal. I'm going to move up to 3 months of savings here soon. So, that is ultimately the goal, is to get up to 6 months. And like I said, pay off this debt. So if you're going to be here and along for the ride with me, I'll be sharing some more updates and sharing what I'm learning as I am on this journey, because I am not a financial guru, but I am definitely wanting to learn. I definitely want to make things better. And yeah, I'm tired of saying, where did it go? So thanks for joining me on this video. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing some more. So stick with me and I'll be back for another one.